Alright, I'm doing a follow-up video for the Cooler Master TD500 case because I had some people asking me questions. So the first thing I'm going to tackle is the front fans. So this is how the case comes, although it's not gold on the front because I painted the front gold, and if you can see the top, I did like the gold underneath and a red metal flake up on top or over the gold. But I've got these all hooked up to a cheap power supply. And so there's the fans. The LEDs are around the center part. There's some different modes. You can have the solid color, or you can have it where it basically blinks, and then there's a mode where it'll cycle through the colors. Another neat thing is on the controller here, you can plug your reset switch from the case into this controller, and then you can use the reset switch to cycle through the stuff. I gotta grab something here. I've still got the case all tore apart working on it. So you hit the reset button and now it's gonna do like a fade, and then you hit it again, it switches colors. One more time it does the fade for the same color. And this is using the reset switch on the, right there's the control panel from this, so I'm just using a little screwdriver to hit the button. There's a button on the controller too, so you can control it from the actual controller, but it's nice if you use the case reset switch, then there's no box outside. This mode here is where it just cycles through all the different colors. So I'm going to hit it again. So it's just these three RGB fans, 120 millimeter, and then it came with a exhaust fan on the back, which is just a standard non-LED low RPM Cooler Master fan. So hopefully the camera's picking up the colors fairly well and the effects. Looks like it is. They're pretty nice. Let me switch to let's do, that color's good. Now the front panel, I've had some other questions about. I've still got the protective acrylic on it. So right there's, whoops, upside down. So if I peel the protective acrylic back, that's how it's going to look through the case. So pretty nice. It's got that kind of diamond faceted look to the panel, which is why I bought the case. It's acrylic, but it's pretty neat looking in person. Let me just grab the camera real quick and see if we can pick up that faceting. Kind of can. It's kind of hard. Alright. Okay. I had a question about cooling too on the front panel. So let's take this back off. Pops off pretty easily. I'm going to put my protective covering back on. Okay. And here's the case. There, the front panel. So you can see it's tinted acrylic, and you can see here there's a gap here and here on both sides. Now originally it was covered with this perforated plastic stuff. I think you can see that fairly well, and I think with that in there would still be plenty of airflow. But I just took them out. You unscrew like 3 or 4 screws and you pop these off, and then you can just have it totally open to the air. But there's plenty of space there for the fans, because these are kind of, the output isn't bad, but it's not a high output fan by any means. So with 3 of them there, there's some decent airflow coming into the case, and there's plenty of room here in the front panel, and it's cool because from the front you can, the way this comes in, it kind of hides the openings. I was hoping this gold paint would show through the front some a little bit, and it doesn't really because it's tinted so dark, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the case was 80 bucks, and just the 3 RGB fans with controller are probably worth, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks. I bought some Thermaltake ring fans that are RGB, and I mean, those were 50, 55 bucks a set of 3. So it's almost like buying an RGB fan set and getting a case for an extra, 25, 30 bucks. I think that's about all as far as covering the questions people asked. I'm kind of dragging my feet. I've been busy because I got a new puppy, but eventually this is going to have some other fans mounted in the top, and I'm going to use a toggle switch to switch back and forth between the RGB and the fans on top, because they're going to be a higher output fan, and I'm going to use this fan shroud to actually direct airflow down onto the heatsink. What I'm trying to do is use this passive cooler on a Ryzen 1300X, if I can get out of the box. Doesn't want to come out. Well, it was out before. There we go. This big honking chunk of aluminum. So that's from Arctic Alpine AM4 passive, and it'll mount. You can mount it either way because the mounting hole's in the bottom in a square configuration. You can see that there. And I want to do a dual profile setup on the BIOS. I'm going to have like a undervolted, underclocked kind of just daily use profile where I'll leave these front fans on, and then I'm going to have a second profile which the processor is going to be overclocked, the memory is going to be overclocked, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the two 120 millimeter high output fans up on the top, actually blowing down across this big hunk of aluminum. I haven't tested it yet. My motherboard's over here. I actually was testing the factory Ryzen Wraith Spire cooler with a fan adapter. Because the Wraith Spire actually has a copper vapor chamber that comes up through the center of this aluminum heatsink, and the stock fan was smallish, and so I got this 80 millimeter to 120 millimeter adapter off of Newegg by it's made by a company called Akust. It's AKUST. It's like 10 bucks, and because the fan mounting holes are like an 80 millimeter configuration, even though the fan was technically considered 92 millimeter. But anyway, I did some testing, and it keeps it cooler at idle and under load. So I'm going to use this on another Ryzen build I'm doing, and I'm going to use this big Arctic passive heatsink on here, but I got to test it first. So that's, I think, covering the questions that were asked about the TD500. I know when I bought it, there really wasn't anything on YouTube about it, so I thought, well, I'll do a video, and then some people asked questions, so I just thought it'd be nice and try to answer them. So if you have any more questions, just leave comments, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. I think somebody asked about the side panel, which I don't have with me right here, but it is acrylic, and it has that same kind of diamond faceted look that the front panel does. It's actually right here. It kind of goes on. It's like acrylic, pure acrylic, or 100% acrylic. There's no frame to it, So it actually goes on like a tempered glass panel. It's got these holes with rubber grommets, and you can probably kind of see the faceting. So it's kind of neat. It's got protective film on both sides, which is nice. Should be a pretty cool build. So that's it. Any questions? Just leave them in the comments, and I'll see you later.